Being broke, then it's staying on sick, right? Do it for my folk, trying to get by. Came through the struggle with my head high. Being broke, then you know what it feel like. I said, being broke made me rich. Being broke made me rich. Being broke made me rich. Gotta keep the stove hot so it cook right. If everybody eating, that's a good night. Gotta take a loss, so I took flight. Hard times made for a good life. Being broke made me rich. Being broke made me rich. Being broke made me rich. Being broke made me rich.
Never fell in love with the cocoa. Never had to hold up the stove with the fofo. Never had the dough kicked in by the feds when I'm laying in the bed on the bread that I'm gonna blow. But I do know what it feels like to go to school with the knockoff shoes. Eating free lunch, trying to act all cool. Well, you better know that we paid our dues. Never would I trade that, cause it made me better. Could've made me bitter. Can't buy that struggle, can't name no figure. But it made me richer. Yeah, being broke made me rich. Being low made you quit. But being low made me high. Take time if you want this, let's go.
What's up, people? This is your boy Levelhead, and this is another Live and Level Gamers podcast. This is episode 120. I got my boy Keith Norris in the podcast with me. Go ahead, bro.
What's up, everybody? What's going on? Being broke made me rich.
So this is a Live and Level Gamers podcast. Hopefully D2K can jump in here a little bit later. That was off of Lecrae's new album, All Things Work. Pretty dope. I'm enjoying it. This is Being Broke Made Me Rich, or it's called Broke. How many people feel broke out there?
Man. Life.
Right. So anyway, man, what's been good with you?
Man, working. That's pretty much it. Working, music, you know, same old.
You said work and what else? Music?
Yeah. I'm working with this guy. I'm trying to get some songs out for him. I mean, he pretty much got all the songs he needs, but I'm trying to, you know, add in my little bit, you know, see if I can make the team.
Man, I'm gonna have to get you about to send me some stuff. So you recording it or he?
It's his stuff, you know. I got some music, but you know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk offline, man. You've been kind of holding out, Keith.
I'm quite
private.
Holding out. I'm private.
But anyway, so yeah, welcome back to the show. Right now it's just me and Keith Norris. But anyway, we ain't here to talk about us. We here to talk about games. But what's been good since the last time we talked, man? There's been a lot of stuff that took place. What did you think about all the stuff that's going on with the NFL and all that stuff?
Man,
just to break.
Man, I was on Google Plus and we had this like 300 comments of chatting back and forth. Man, there's people thinking that they taking knees about the flag and all this other stuff, but they just ignoring the issues that people are trying to address. And you know what I think? I think that when people are confronted with something they don't want to deal with, they try to discredit it and try to take it down. And I think that's what's going on, man. It's like, oh man, you're disrespecting the flag and the troops. No, the troops fought for the First Amendment right to, you know, free speech. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to deflect from the issues.
Yeah.
America as a whole.
Yeah, that's what I think. You know, a lot of times, not to linger on this too long, but yeah, you're right. When you don't want to hear something, you change the narrative, or you make the thing that has been trying to be relayed, you make it be something else, so you can focus on that and give excuse and justification for why you ain't receiving the message.
Yeah.
We do this a lot of times in marriage, where your wife, or you force your wife, she just change it to a whole nother situation. Like, wait a minute, how did we get on helping you clean up when we was talking about it's like that ain't got nothing to do with what we was originally talking about. Yeah, it's deflection, it's changing of the narrative, anything to keep from dealing with the actual problem, the actual thing being raised. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Ray Lewis kind of disappointed me. But anyway, we ain't here to talk about politics. But yeah, man, that kind of was, you know, we've been in a lot going on in our nation, man. But let's get on into these games. So what you been gaming on this week, bro?
I've been getting my butt kicked in Mario plus Rabbids. I'm fighting a big snow dude. Man,
Yeah, I didn't want to say nothing. So you still on stage too?
yeah, man. Look, I almost beat him. I almost beat him, and I turned the screen somehow, and I was trying to move Rabbit Peach into one of the little warp pipes, and I accidentally stopped her mid-track, like just wide open. I was like, crap, and they lit her up. Like everybody lit her up, and then like he got this move where he can bounce you back, and once he bounce you back, it's considered a move, so he hit you again. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that, been on NBA 2K18. Man, I'm gonna tell you about NBA 2K18. I don't feel like grinding. I don't feel like doing this VC stuff. I think I'm just gonna play a season. So and I'm ready to play. What's the game that just came out? Cuphead come out tonight, and then you got SteamWorld Dig 2 that just came out, I think Tuesday. So I'm ready to play those games. But that's about it.
I got NBA 2K18 on the PlayStation 4 right now. The Switch version I will have. It's already paid for. It's just because of the situation I couldn't get the currency to download it. So I bought the physical one. So I got to wait till the 17th. But I mean, it is a grind, ain't it? It is like real grindy if you play the career mode. Like if you just playing, against somebody or against a computer, it's fine. But the career mode, you got to go get your haircut. You got to go buy shoes. It's like, golly, man, I'm just trying to get a feel for the storyline, but it's pretty cool so far.
And everything.
Everything, they don't give you enough currency, enough money to buy the stuff that you need. And I think it's built around microtransactions. But from what I heard, they just had an update where they gave you more money or something like that. If I'm not mistaken.
People were losing their careers, and I think it was mainly on Xbox. So they was giving them more points and stuff like that because they lost so much.
Oh, okay. All right. So I get it now. So that wasn't to aid in those who were frustrated about the amount of money you start off with. That was just okay. Well, they ain't helping me. I heard they also had another an update to it. I don't know what it fixed or what it addressed, but I heard they had an update. But anyway, I actually today just actually got a little bit of gaming in. I played. Ironically, I put in Street Fighters because I hadn't played it in a while. When I bought Street Fighters, I played it for about maybe a week or two. And then I think Arms or something came out right after it that took my attention. And then I played Arms for about a few weeks. And then Splatoon came out, and that was it. I haven't played Arms since. I haven't played Street Fighters since. I still haven't played Arms. And I know there's a whole new character on there to be uploaded and played with, and a whole bunch of new items to download that you can literally reconfigure your controller and what buttons and manipulate what. But I haven't even played Arms since June or July. I haven't played Arms since then. And I put in Zelda, bruh. I put in Zelda. And dude, I'm still impressed by this game. I'm still impressed by Zelda. It's stuff I still haven't done in the game. There's locations I still haven't been. There's areas in Zelda I haven't touched yet. There's shrines I haven't found. Like I haven't found at least 40 to 50 shrines yet, still to be discovered.
Yeah, I got like 30.
Yeah, like so I'm like, man, it's crazy to me, bro, how big and expansive this game is. Like I said, the end fight I thought was a little lackluster. I thought it was it left you wanting more. But overall, minus that, the game just offers so much that there's still stuff that I got to do in the game that really once I put it back in, I was like, man, I got to get back on this game. There's stuff I still want to do in this game. And it still looks good and all that. So But yeah, man, I haven't played Mario plus Rabbids in a little bit. I think since I bought that NBA 2K 18. So I'm probably get back on that because I'm on the stage right after you. So you said you fighting the snow rabbit. I can tell you how you're gonna have to approach that rabbit, man, because it's gonna take you forever to beat him unless you do it a certain way. It's a certain way you gotta approach him, or you ain't gonna never beat him. You know what I'm saying? So and definitely I give you this hint. Do not let your characters get separate too far from each other. You know, like and use Princess Peach to constantly keep them revived with the energy. Like keep them in areas where you can jump and land and put their points back up. And some points you're just gonna have to spend time doing that and not even worry about shooting and trying to take him out. Just spending time powering up and recharging or building up the health, you know, replenishing the health of each of your characters. So it took me about 15 goals at that dude. About 15, man.
I had
at least 10.
All I needed was one more character, and I think my Rabbit Peach got knocked out. That's all I needed. I needed one more character because they focused everything on Mario, and he just got destroyed.
So yeah, man. So I played that. I played a little Splatoon, but for some reason it kept dropping. Every time I would get in there, it kept dropping. So I turned it off. Then I came back down here and commenced to paint these. I'm almost done. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more doors out of I think almost 20. So 6 more to go and I'm done. So anyway, so we ain't here to talk about that. We're here to talk about what's popping in gaming. So I kind of got a list of topics, man. I don't know if you saw all of them. We're just gonna go through how I had it set up. So the first topic, man, Sony basically said they see no future in handhelds. And I'm gonna look up this article. I don't know if you saw this article that was talking about this, where Sony, you know, basically came out and said they don't see this market being viable for them. What's your thoughts on that? And I'm gonna find the actual article and read it.
Okay.
But
what happened? I had an error when I was trying to. Oh, I just said, "What's up, True?" It wouldn't let me comment for some reason. I don't know what's going on. My thoughts on it is no. Sony has historically not been. Well, I won't say that because the PSP was actually successful, but historically, the mind share of the gamers that they have not been great with mobile games. So I will say it's probably a smart decision for them to not spend that money on mobile gaming and actually trying to put up that device. Of course, I still would like to see it, PlayStation 4 type device on the go, but it's probably wise for them to stay away from it based on their fan base. Their fan base typically likes to play in front of their 4K TVs with the surround sound and stuff like that. They don't really care about taking it on the go. That's, you know, of course, that's the US and maybe Europe. Japan may be a different story. They may want to invest in Japan, but over here, most people, like I said, they want to sit in front of their 4K TVs with the surround sound and play their games and laugh and talk and stuff like that and play online. So, and online for on-the-go gaming isn't actually been proven to be the best thing yet. I mean, Nintendo is obviously still trying to work the kinks out themselves. I never owned a 3DS, so I don't know how that worked. But no, I don't think they should do it.
I got the article. You agree? So you agree that they shouldn't do it?
Yeah, I mean, just based on their fan base, yeah. I don't think so.
Okay. I'm sitting here. It says Sony Interactive Entertainment President Andrew House sees the handheld market as limited in the age of the smartphone and has all but dismissed a successor to the PlayStation Vita to compete with Switch on the Nintendo Switch. It says the Vita experience was that outside of The Vita experience was that outside of Japan and Asia, there was not a huge demand. House continued. The lifestyle shift towards the dominance of smartphones as a single key device that is always with you was the determining factor. So basically, House says that the Switch.
What is that?
I don't know. What did it do?
Oh, I'm going.
Anyway,
hold on.
Okay. Basically, he also says that he doesn't consider the Switch really a handheld, but he consider it another device being a hybrid. So basically, he's saying that because of smartphones and smartphones already occupying the space of a mobile device already with you, he really sees no market, no opportunity to gain by making another handheld device from them to compete not only with smartphones, but also to compete with the mobility of the Switch. And I guess looking at how they have fared with handheld devices in spots outside of, like you said, Asia and Japan, I would have to agree with you and agree with him. I guess it isn't wise for them to do that right now. And because Nintendo owns like 70 to 80% of the market in Japan when it comes to, the handheld devices from video game companies. Nintendo is running and occupying 70 to 80% of that space is taken up by Nintendo handheld devices. So Sony only has like 20 to 30% to work with anyway. Plus, mobile phones are starting to eat into that pie. And I watched a video where a person was showing off how even with Nintendo's handhelds, they're slowly each generation they're selling less than the generation before. Like the DS sold like 155 million worldwide, sold like 25 something million in Japan, where the PSP sold like 70 to 80 million worldwide and 11 to 16 million in Japan. And then the 3DS is at like 70 million worldwide, I think 15 something in Japan, and the Vita is still it ain't even broke 10 million yet. It's still under 8 in world. I think it's worldwide and only like so many millions in Japan. So for Sony, they got to tackle Nintendo's dominance in that space and deal with mobile devices already eating up space too. So I kind of agree. And also when you look at it this way too, in order for Sony to be successful in this area, they had to put all they focus, or way more they focus on that device in order to make it successful. And they don't have the first party IPs. They don't have enough. They can't pay enough third party to make the handheld market viable for them, in my opinion.
That's a strong point. You said they don't have the first party IPs. Like, I can't really sit back and think of any Sony first party game that you would want to take on the go. Like, it just don't translate like that. Like a Nintendo game could translate like, man, I'm finna take this Mario Odyssey on the go. But to play devil's advocate, we also heard that same statements, the smartphone market, yada, 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 when the 3DS came out. And the 3DS came out and they still not bombed, but they still did great. You know what I mean? So I don't really know if saying because they're smartphones, I think those two platforms can coexist. Most people got iPads and iPhones. I think that's silly, but they do. I think it can coexist. Right. I just don't think they have the like you said, they don't have the IPs for it. And it's really just smart to like not waste money when you already controlling the industry. So yeah, that's true. And that's what they kind of said. They said we're going to focus on the PlayStation 4 in the home count, and we're not focusing. Now, this could be a whole switch and bait. You know what I'm saying? This could be something they're trying to throw people off with, and then out of nowhere, here the Vita 2 I thought of that too.
You know, yeah, misdirection. Yeah. But at the same time, listen to what they said. It makes sense. And I'm reading down here. Aries 73 said maybe support your handhelds more than a year.
Yeah,
yeah, that's true. But again, Sony doesn't have. See, what makes Nintendo handheld work is Nintendo is dominating it with their own first-party titles, and Nintendo has mastered making indie-like titles for their handheld devices, where they have learned how to make games that appeal to their fan base that they can make quick. Little, maybe smaller teams working on this, and you know, creative, quick, not a real expensive game. And then you got the Pokemons, and at that time you had the what they just lost. What is that? The Dragon. What is that over Japan? No, that's not Spiral. Capcom's game. They just made it for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. World. Monster Hunter. There you go. I said Dragon, but Monster Hunter was also helping the DS, the 3DS, and all that stuff. You know, with Pokemon and all that, you got them major titles undergirding and kind of supporting and carrying it, while Nintendo kept it afloat with these smaller titles here and there, and some decent AA titles every now and again. Sony can't do that. Sony doesn't have enough IPs and probably enough manpower to do that across the PlayStation 4 with AAA titles that they're making from first party, like Uncharted and God of War, taking them 2-3 years to get out, 2, 3, 4 years to get out. What time would they have to make another Uncharted or have a second party make an Uncharted like they did for the Vita? How many times could they, or the God of Wars? How much resources was being sucked away from their main attraction, which is the PlayStation 3 at that time and the PlayStation 4 now, and now the PlayStation Pro, and now VR. Where can they find space to squeeze? Also, we got a handheld too. I don't see where they got the space for it.
Unless the games are not exclusive. Nia pointed out a few games. I guess because I don't really think about Sony all the time, but she said Knack, Crash, Ratchet and Clank, Fat Princess, Ape Escape. She was saying that those games is Ape. Oh yeah, Ape Escape. Yeah, I was thinking about Monkey Ball for some reason. She said those games could translate to mobile, but of course Sony doesn't usually use those games anymore.
But again, Knack doesn't have the appeal. Crash, maybe. Ratchet and Clank, maybe. Fat Princess, I would say not enough to put confidence in your device being supported. Or Ape Escape, none of them games really appeal enough to make your system thrive. Like, that's not a Mario. That's not a Mario Kart or Smash Bros. Or no Nintendo IPs. That's them sell is the IPs that you know are going to be there. None of them IPs outside of Ratchet and Clank and maybe Crash. Definitely not Knack. Not the not. She's making a great point. But again, it points to a lack of the right titles to make their handheld work, because there's not a real relationship with their fan base with these type of titles. Ratchet and Clank may out in that group stand out, but Ape Escape, Fat Prince, I don't see them. She said it's Knack. It's a Knack. It's a Knack. You know what I'm saying? For real. So I don't see it. I don't see Knack. Knack ain't selling like nothing on the PlayStation 4. It definitely ain't gonna move units on a handheld. You know, go ahead.
You know what? I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna try to be deep with this. Let me think. I think the reason. Oh, I'm probably gonna get in trouble when I say this. I think one of the main reasons a lot of Nintendo games sell as much as they do is because Nintendo fans are hungry and they don't have anything else to play. I'm sorry to say that, but I mean, and not to say that these games aren't good. Yes, Nintendo games are good, but what I'm saying is, if I don't have anything else to play, yes, I'm going to exalt these games that may actually be subpar and say these are some of the greatest games of all time. That's just my opinion.
Right. But I agree. If you talking home console, I can't agree if we isolating handheld device. I can't agree with that, Keith. I can't. Like the handheld devices had games, like abundance of games.
Well,
we bought what we had to. Yeah. I'm just playing devil's advocate back. Like I see where you're coming from, but go ahead.
I wasn't actually separating handheld and home console, because the reason I'm saying that is because the Sony guys are not handheld players. So we try to say that Knack, let me scroll back up to what she said because I can't even remember the games. Knack, Crash,
Ratchet and Clank, Princess and Ape.
I'm looking at them as home console games and not necessarily mobile games. And Sony fans have a lot more third-party games. They have like the Uncharted, like you said, God of War. They have all of these games to play as well. So these games that she pointed out, that's what I'm thinking about. You know, these games that she pointed out aren't necessarily going to translate to anything because they just don't play them.
Right, Sony, that's my point. Like Sony doesn't play those type of games. Now, them games, I still don't even think them games will find much love outside of Ratchet and Clank and maybe Ape Escape and Crash. They will find love on a DS or a 3DS or even a Switch, but Knack just ain't a good game, period. Knack is not good. I mean, it's a Knack, just like she said. But like I do got to disagree because we strictly talking about the handheld. When it comes to the 3DS, and the DS, that was always my envy as a Nintendo home console leading person. I never bought the handhelds. I bought my son the 3DS, but I never owned any of the handhelds of Nintendo. I've never owned a Game Boy, a Game Boy Advance, a DS Lite, a DS, whatever else they made, and I owned the 3DS. But when I was watching them directs, I used to get angry because the 3DS would have games galore. And then when we finally get some Wii U content, it was one game or one or two games. So on the Wii U, it was far in between, but the 3DS was just abundant. It was like an orchard of apples and peaches and oranges and all type of stuff was in that vineyard, you know. But in ours, we was barren, we was starving over here. So you bought whatever you can get on the Wii U.
That was
3DS, you had choices.
That was my point.
Okay.
You bought what you could get. When I was saying it, I wasn't separating between the two, because if you compare the Sony home console owner to the Nintendo handheld owner, they pretty much tit for tat. There's an abundance of games on both sides. And I guess when I was saying that you just buy and you exalt these games because you're not really getting much. And I was more so thinking about the home console. Everybody slaughtered me in the chat section. So
I'm looking, they getting you. But yeah, like like with the PSP and the PlayStation Vita, they had games, but they had a lot of the same genres. From what I understand, the Vita had a lot of JRPGs and a lot of Japanese titles that was very very unknown, I guess, in the States. So it didn't do well in the States because it didn't have a lot of these third-party Western developers did not embrace the Vita, and it literally became a Japanese market device for JRPGs, and it had a lot of those, but you had to be into them type of titles. And kind of with the PlayStation PSP, it was hacked so much, so I don't know. I mean, looking at what Sony has dealt with these devices, they would know if they really made money and stuff on them. So technically, I guess it just ain't viable for them. And they are there trying to be misleading and going to pull a bait and switch at the PlayStation experience and have a huge announcement that, throws everybody off, because they did have that what was that? That leaked design for
the patent.
the patent for a handheld device, and they were the ones who put it out there and had it what's that when you have the patent my brain freezing, I'm brain farting right now. But when you have your music copyrighted, they had it copyrighted and everything. So man, that was just interesting, coming off of the situation with Super Metal Dave, not throwing no knock at him, but coming off that situation, nothing happening at the Tokyo PlayStation presentation, and then to get this announcement from Sony saying they have no intentions, it's like Super Metal Dave. I ain't trying to throw no knock at him, but that was another L in my opinion. But
that's funny.
Let's continue, man. So you laugh. But it's the truth, bro. Like Sony came out and literally said, "No, we have no plans on going into this space." So that's another like, wow, dude. Like that's two whammies. Not only did nothing happen at the show that you said, Sony come out and just the head man, the CEO says, "We're not going this direction. Our focus is on home consoles." That's crazy. But anyway, let's keep going. So Capcom is in a world of trouble with Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. The sales numbers are horrendous. It's doing horrible in the UK, I think that's and it's doing even worse in Japan, only selling 8,000 copies at release. It got outsold by Pokken Tournament by almost 30-something thousand copies. And we know Pokken Tournament is a re-release of a Wii U game. This Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is a brand new game, and it's selling like it's literally not selling, bro. And the numbers for the States haven't been shared yet, but what it's looking like based on all the other regions is not going to be great in the States either. So what's going on, man, with this?
Man, everybody waiting on their Dragon Ball Z fighters.
That dude, actually, you make a good point. I think that could be what it is, man. After you saw that, you don't care about no Marvel.
It's like, come on. I don't know. I'm not really into the fighting community like that. I really don't know why this game isn't selling, because historically it's been one of those. No, I take that back. I remember seeing like the trailer from I think E3, and it looked like trash to me, and I think people just don't want to play it. But I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna look up some stuff on this before I try to get my full opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the marketing. I don't know if people just don't like the direction that Capcom is going in. But when you have a game like Ultra Street Fighters 2 on the Switch, sell almost 500,000 copies, and they can't, between two platforms with one almost 60 million, another with almost 30, and you only selling upwards to 8,000 copies, and you literally you might not even hit 100,000. Like that's bad, man. That's like, and it's like, I ain't trying to throw no shade at anything like that, but when you know that these games can run on the Switch, and Capcom constantly seems to dump on that platform in favor of these other two, and now they can't even sell over there. It's like it's kind of like, well, that's what you get. But then that makes me look like a fanboy. But that ain't what I'm trying to go here. But I don't know, man. It's kind of ironic that they're and somebody said Street Fighters. Yeah, that's right. Street Fighters 5 haven't even made the 2 million prediction that Capcom said they was going to make with that game. They haven't even made back what they projected to make. And it's been out for about 2.5 years now. About 2 years now. So I don't know what's going on with Capcom, man.
I just thought about something. I don't really have too much to talk about on this topic. Like I said, I'm not really into fighters like that, but you got the Dragon Ball Z Fighters game coming out that's going against it, and then you also got to take into the fact that there's no X-Men in this game. They took out all the X-Men, those type of characters, because I'm assuming Disney and probably Capcom, they couldn't reach an agreement, or maybe they just didn't want to put those players in there. And I think
Disney doesn't right now. Disney doesn't have the X-Men. They don't have them characters. So I think it's Universal. Is it Universal that got X-Men, or is it Fox?
Fox, I think.
Yeah. So they probably had to work somehow with Fox. Because I think Disney trying to acquire the X-Men roster and the X-Men characters from them. I think from what I heard, they're still in negotiation to get those characters from Fox. So maybe they couldn't get it because of, like you said, the contracts and that fringe on what they have the rights to. So. But do you think the X-Men characters would affect the want to play the game that bad?
Yeah, I remember hearing so many people say, "Man, Wolverine's not going to be in the game," and all their favorite characters not being in the game. They're like, "Why would I buy it?" So, I think that really has hurt this game.
I don't know. I would say, man, I'm not gonna say it's not marketing because I've been seeing a lot about the game. I just guess I don't care about Marvel versus Capcom anymore. I guess that's where I'm at with it. I don't care anymore. And like you said, I think you made a great point with Dragon Ball Fighters. Like, that has my attention. I don't care about Marvel versus Capcom. I think the last one I bought, it was all right. I haven't cared about those games really since the Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, the arcade, when they was real popular in arcades. I really haven't cared for one of them games. So, and I think the art direction that they're going, I would rather them go back to the hand drawn animation rather than the shell shaded CG like animation. But I just don't. I guess I'm just really honestly, I don't care about this combination of fighters no more. I don't care about seeing Ryu fighting Wolverine anymore. That's where I'm at. So maybe you need to do something new, Capcom. That maybe it's time to venture outside of that space and do something different.
I just put it to sleep for a little bit. Tell it to go take a nap.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's the only thing I could think. And Nia said it's not looking good. Also, Marvel vs. Capcom is not a good looking game. So yeah, I agree. It doesn't that animation style is not appealing to the eye. I think that's one of them games that deserve a hand-drawn animation to it. It to me, it fits better in that 2D space rather than this trying to make it look just like the comic books, or I mean, just like CG animation. I don't care for that plastic, glossy. I don't care. Be honest with you, I really don't. Or go into 3D space. Maybe it's time to step out of the 2D space, go into 3D space, try to see how I go there.
I don't know.
But I'm just saying, Mortal Kombat. And what's the other game that they make with DC? What's that game?
Dang it.
The fight game. Y'all say it in the comment section. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Justice something, ain't it?
Injustice? Is it Injustice?
I think
it's got to be Injustice.
I think it's Injustice.
What is the name of this game, folks? The DC game made by the people that make the
yeah, it's Injustice.
Injustice. Like, they getting mollywopped by them games. Especially the Marvel games that Capcom is making is getting mollywopped by Injustice and Mortal Kombat. I won't say it's killing Street Fighters. Well, yeah, it is, because Street Fighters 5 on the PlayStation 4 did horrible, and the Mortal Kombat game did great. So they need to take a play out of their book and see what they're doing right, because they must be doing something right, because they games are highly anticipated every time they come to the market with them. And I don't think one thing Capcom tends to do is milk the crap out of their titles to the point that you just tired of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about it.
Because we waited for Marvel versus Capcom for 3 for like years, and then they finally came out with it, and then it just kept going and going and going. It's like, slow down. And I think Street Fighter started to take some of the assets. Because I remember, no, I'm lying. Let me shut up. Nope. I'm clearly not a fighter head, so never mind. I was going to say something else. Never mind.
I mean, Capcom hasn't really, to me, Capcom has been going backwards since Third Strike. Like, to me, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike was the best engine Capcom had made when they in their 2D fighting space. Like, that engine was crazy with the parries and how tight it was. They introduced new characters that felt like they mattered to the series. They had a few characters they could have got rid of, like Zero and the dude that tried to replace Dazum and all that. Yeah, they could have got rid of them for the most part. Alex and came in on that, and a few other characters that was really dope. And then it seemed like after you get all that success with Third Strike and Street Fighter 3, you come back with Street Fighter 4, and it's a cool game, but it don't feel like Street Fighter 3. And it doesn't have the tightness and the fluidness of those fighting games. And it seems like they're doing the same thing with Marvel versus Capcom. When you had perfected it back in the day and you had perfection, if you take it away, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it when it ain't nothing broke. Just add to it or make it look better. But they I don't know. They just seem like they don't know what they're doing. Like Nia said, they don't know what they're doing right now. They don't know what they're doing at all. Like they did with Resident Evil 6.
Oh my gosh.
Straight messed that game up.
Hey man, they were so confused.
Right.
They're gonna give you 3 characters.
You know
why?
Right. They didn't know if they wanted to be an action game. They know what they took a horror game into, and they let Resident Evil 4 and the success of Resident Evil 4 tricked them up. Then they made Resident Evil 5, which was all right. Resident Evil 5 wasn't as bad as people make it out to be, but Capcom can at least let the person move while you shooting. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having to stop with that old. So, but they went into this action space and left the essence and the true identity of what Resident Evil is about. It's Resident Evil. It's not Call of Duty in third person. You know what I'm saying? It's not that wasn't it wasn't an action. It wasn't based around the action. It was based around the shock and the awe and the fear of going around the corner to see what's around there and what might scare you or startle you. That's what Resident Evil was about. The isolation, feeling by yourself, claustrophobic, and all that. The environment and the atmosphere of Resident Evil was stripped away, and then once because they got a little success with 4, and look how many times have we seen 4 remade? Now they made right. So then they kind of redeemed themselves with 7, from what I heard. That one was pretty good. I haven't played it, but again, they go into a first person a setting. I'm not really. I don't care for FPSs. So, but yeah, Capcom need help, man. They seem like when they get stuff right, they so quick to change it. Like you got it right. The people liked it. Why are you messing with it now? I don't know, man.
I wonder will Monster Hunter be a good game. I wonder if they're gonna
Monster Hunter World. Was it World?
Yeah.
I hope so, man. I mean, hey, I hope so. I ain't never been a Monster Hunter fan, no way. So, I mean, I don't get the appeal of Monster Hunter, but it's not a game that I think is a game that appeals to me. I played it. I didn't get it, and I didn't play it no more. I don't know. I just don't get it. I know people that I was around and game and you know did chats with and podcasts with. They were all into it, but I just never got it, man. I never could get into it. The little demo they released on the Wii U back in the day, I played it, tried to get into it. I just didn't see the appeal. It was like Zelda without all the fun of Zelda to me, but that's me.
You gotta play with friends.
I guess so. So let's continue with this, man. So next topic is Nintendo software sales are the best in Nintendo history since 1995 with the Switch. and that's in the states. That's the states MPDs. I think that's what I did. The MPD, the best since 1995. What is the Switch proving that people are willing to buy games? Like it got to be, because Street Fighter should not have sold 500 something, and probably more than that now, but 500 something thousand copies. Like it's time to take the Switch serious, I guess. You know, really. Go ahead.
I think now with the Switch being a hybrid device, I think the people who used to hate on Nintendo can kind of justify saying this can fit into my gaming space. You know what I mean? Like I have my PlayStation, or I have my PC, or I have my Xbox for those type of games and for the house. You know what I'm saying? Now I can play my Switch at the house, and guess what? I can take it on the go. I can take it on the train. I can take it anywhere I need to go. You know, I can take it on lunch and play it during my lunch break or something like that. Or, you know, just anywhere. Is giving you that ability to take these AAA games, and yes, AAA games, or indie games, and play them on the go and have fun with similar experiences. Like we were talking about NBA 2K18 earlier. It's one for one the same experience. I mean, you know, some minor differences here and there, but you can just, I don't want to say you couldn't justify buying a Nintendo console, you know, the Wii U and stuff like that, but you can honestly justify saying I own a Nintendo Switch and be confident about saying it. You know, the people who used to like really hate on Nintendo, and it's like, it's a good device, man. What can I say?
And I'm gonna say this, man. I believe this is what is causing third party to look at the Switch. When you start seeing an attachment rate with how many games are selling versus how many systems are available for the games to be sold on, that means people are buying games, man. It's just point blank period. People are buying games. They are and I can see it in my own stash of games. I have, at this present time, I have more games on my Switch far as physical and digital. I have more games on my Switch than I have on either my PlayStation 4 or Xbox One.
Really?
I have more on my Switch. Yeah, I really do. Like I had at one time I got up to about 15 games on my Xbox One, and my PlayStation 4 I got up to about 9. I'm about 9 or 10. But on my Switch, I'm at about, when I look at what I got physically, I got 6 games physically, and 7 technically is just not here. And then downloaded, I got Fast RMX, Snake Pass, NBA Playground, Sonic. I got about 4 Neo Geo games. I have what else is on there? A few other games.
Buying them games.
Yeah, so I have about right at 20-something games, or a little bit under 20-something games on my Switch. And that's within 7 months of owning it. And I still got, like I said, I got NBA 2K18 coming. I'm getting Odyssey. I'm getting Doom. This all within 8 to 9 months of the system being out, man.
Yeah, they're keeping you busy. They really keep it. 47 games.
Who said that?
Area 73 said he got 47 games total. What did you buy? Every game that came out?
What in the world have you been buying? You bought every DLC, every physical copy. You got to put a list of titles in the comment section.
Say, bro, you need to give me a game, man.
Anyway, I wish they had that play share like PlayStation. I'd be trying to befriend you, heirs, and get all play sharing going on. But anyway, I think that's what third party like Bethesda is seeing. Like, dude, the attachment rate is ridiculous. But we kind of saw this with the Wii U too, if we be honest. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Keith. A lot of those games, which I don't agree, I don't think this is happening with the Switch. I believe these are just good games. But with the Wii U, a lot of them games were selling because we didn't have much to buy, so you had to buy whatever was there to buy. Whereas with the Switch, there's an abundance of games to buy that's coming, and all of them are finding success. Like Dig, what's that Dig World? Yeah, that game sold. From what I understand, it sold the best on the Switch. What else? There's another game that sold the best on the Switch. No, it sold the best on the Switch. It's a game that just an indie game that was released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Switch, and it sold the best on the Switch.
Actually, no, Steam World is actually exclusive to, well, Steam World 2 is exclusive to Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. It's another game. I can't think of it right now. But it sold more than both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One combined. I just can't remember the game. But
you're right. It's Wonder Boy. She right.
Yeah, it sold on the Switch. Like, dude, that's a crazy attachment rate, man. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I think that's what's intriguing third party. They saying that anything that comes to the Switch is selling right now. Anything, if it's good.
But Bethesda said they just getting started. Bethesda said they are just getting started with making games. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what they got coming. Could be some old games, could be some new games coming, it could be some new exclusive games. Shout out to Waluigi, you know what I'm saying? We ready? You know what I'm saying? This is a great partnership, and I think it's going to translate to the other third-party developers and say, hey, man, you need to take this seriously. People are actually wanting to take these games, or shall I say, people want to play these games how they want to play these games. If you want to play it at home, play it at home. You want to take it on the go, take it on the go. But it's that combination that's killing the game right now. And Nintendo, shout out to Nintendo.
Right. And like Nintendo. I said, I was trying to tell folks, and you know, I'm not into the whole console war type of stuff. I'm just looking at reality. Like, with the Switch, people talk about resolution and all that. I ain't no graphics whore, but I do like graphics. I do like pretty games. I like that type of stuff. I don't buy these TVs and different things and surround sound for no reason. But in light of that, the Switch looks good enough that it's not something that I'm feeling like is ugly and horrible looking on my screen. I mean, no, Zelda Breath of the Wild visually is not as technically savvy as Horizon Zero Dawn. But when I put Breath of the Wild in, it's still a beautiful game that I like seeing on my big screen. It doesn't hinder or hurt the experience because it's not as technically impressive as Horizon or Uncharted. But there's other aspects like the art direction and things like that that makes it just as appealing as those games. So to me, if Nintendo can keep that up, because I saw that they showed more footage of Xenoblade X Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They showed some more footage of the game, and the game looked way better than what it looked when we first saw it. Mm-hmm. It looks good. And then don't let me even get started on Mario Odyssey. Like, just found out that it's going to be 1080p, 900p dock, 720p on the go. And to me, when I hear about that, I think about games on the Xbox One that was 900p. So the resolution and the visual is good enough to where I don't feel like I'm being robbed because it's not up to par with the PlayStation 4 Pro or the Xbox One X or the Xbox One OG and the PlayStation 4 OG. I still feel like as a gamer, I can go between all these platforms and feel satisfied as a gamer and not feel like I'm being cheated in any kind of way on the Switch. I was watching NBA 2K18 on the Switch on YouTube. I haven't seen it in person yet, but I was watching the cutscenes and the game looked just like what I got on the PlayStation 4. Not as polished, but nowhere near where I'm embarrassed to say that I got this game on the Switch. You see what I'm saying? So I think Nintendo has hit a sweet spot that could really disrupt the norm in gaming right now. I really do, man. I said this. I know D2K kind of came back at me on it, but I truly believe it. I think Nintendo has hit a sweet spot that will cause disruption in the gaming space. And as they continue to make better devices like this, it's going to really put pressure on Microsoft and Sony to acquiesce because Nintendo is hitting two birds with one stone, and they're doing it well enough that people can get past not having the so super duper high end graphics, you know. And if they really want that, they're gonna get a PC, which D2K will say anyway. So I don't know, man. I think Nintendo might just have hit a real sweet spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, when you brought up Mario Odyssey, I was having major feelings when I was watching that video footage on, what is it called?
Well, the Digital Foundry?
Digital Foundry. I was having some major weird feelings that I shouldn't have for a video game. But you and Nia basically said what I wanted to say. You know, of course, I prefer 1080p 60 frames a second. I prefer that over anything. But Nintendo's giving me games at 720p, 30 frames a second, and they're still enjoyable, right? So it's kind of like they're, like you just said, they're turning the industry on its head and saying, hey, I know y'all been saying this is the way you're supposed to play video games, but is it really the only way you can play video games? And we're being satisfied with that. Like, you take Zelda on the go, 720p, 30 frames a second, and it's still a great game. How can you justify continuing to say I have to and I only can play 1080p 60 frames per second?
Right. I mean, dude, I was just upstairs. My daughter's then was in the front on that TV that I got to switch to because it's not in my man. It hasn't even been down here since my twins. I've been upstairs mostly. And so they was watching Netflix. I think they was watching Trolls. So I didn't want to disturb my twins or her because they come and beat me up. You know, they don't like me disrupting their fun. So I took the switch out the dock, set it on my new remodeled kitchen and the table and sat down. And I just was like, God, man, I was playing Street Fighters. It was just looking great. I took that out. I threw in Zelda. It was looking great. And I hadn't played these games. I'm like, man, this screen is gorgeous. And I mean, I know it's 720p, but you couldn't, if you didn't tell me it was 720p, I wouldn't have thought it. I would tell you it was 1080. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But, you know, and I got my phone that's 1080p, but the size of the phone and the size of that screen on the Switch, I don't think it's really making a difference. So, like I said, I just think Nintendo was smart and very wise with their approach with the development and the direction of the Switch, man. I just really do. And I think it's showing by how it has been received in the marketplace amongst gamers. Gamers are responding. Gamers are happy. Gamers are appreciative. They're buying the software. They're buying the hardware, and they're praising what they're getting, and they're enjoying it, man. And I think third party is noticing. I think other companies are noticing, but right now they're not in a position to try to answer it because that could be a bad move for them. So Nintendo just in a good space right now, to be honest with you, you know. And so I commend them, you know, to be able to say that they have sold more software with their hardware. This is the highest they ever sold since 1995. That's a big statement. That's a big statement coming from where they came from. So, but yeah, anything else on that before we move on? Because I'm trying to get to our main topic. No. I think our main topic is going to kind of play into what we were just talking about. So, the next thing is Atari box. Have you seen this thing?
I'm looking at it now. Lord, help me. Oh my goodness.
Hold up, just
oh my goodness.
You see how much it costs?
Mm-hmm. just cancel it.
Like, bro, like
just cancel
now.
it.
Now, is it running on Steam? Is it taking advantage of Steam?
No, it's running on Linux.
I know. So Steam don't. Okay, so it's running on Linux.
Yeah.
So Steam is a different. I guess what would you call Steam? I don't know.
Steam.
That's Microsoft, right?
No, Steam. No. Okay, if you were to build a machine and didn't put Windows on there and you just put Steam, it would be Linux.
It would be Linux. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, man, they said they got a lot of games coming, but they wouldn't announce what games are coming, and a lot of indie games. What's the cost?
Between $250 and $300. My.
Brother, Go ahead.
I'm gonna read out these things. It said the Atari box will use a custom A&D processor. It will run off Linux. It will run mid-range PC games. That's kudos. But also has a web browser and the ability to stream video music from apps. It said it will not run AAA games that require high performance. It will offer a selection of Atari classics back catalog. It will cost somewhere between $250 and $300 and expected to launch spring of 2018.
And ain't it a Kickstarter?
And
they're trying to get you to invest now or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I was just on their page. If you go to their page, they have something like that, I believe.
Like, man, I don't like, bro. I don't know the device enough to say whether it's worthy of that price tag, but I know the name Atari doesn't, to me, the reputation doesn't warrant or provoke me to want to go out and get it at that price range. If it was like 100, 150, maybe, just out of curiosity. But $250, $300 for a device that ain't proven when you got a PlayStation 4 for that same price with a abundance of games going all the way back to its launch. You got the Xbox One at the exact same price. That's probably gonna do better graphics than this thing. I don't know what Atari is thinking. I don't know what Atari is thinking, bro. And then you got the Switch, which you ain't gonna get those type of IPs either for the same price. Like, what are they thinking, man? I don't know what they thinking.
Yeah, I don't get it either, because it's like if a person already has like a PlayStation Slim or Xbox One S or even a Pro or the new Xbox One X, it's like, where does this thing fit? Like, where does it fit in? What are you going to be doing with it that you can't do on devices? It don't make sense. You can't take it on the go like you can with the Switch, and you lose exclusives like PlayStation exclusives and Microsoft exclusives if you choose this over that. I don't see the point of it.
Do you see Nia's questions? He says, so basically the Atari box is a streaming box. Is that kind of what it sounded like?
But you can do that with the NVIDIA Shield. I think it's in
right. Yeah, and that's kind of, and they was kind of bragging about the wood grain. So it's basically a wannabe NVIDIA Shield with wood grain. You know, like,
oh, Houston, okay, wood grain. No wonder Nia likes it. No, just playing.
Oh, so yeah, man. When I heard this, like I said, I don't know if it's bad news because I'm not tech savvy like that. So it's talking about Linux and AMD. I know all that stuff, but I don't know what that means in correlation to what we're going to experience when we have a device. That tells me nothing. You have to show me or point to games that I can expect to play on the game to entice me. So I don't know. I think the price tag is overpriced, to be honest with you. I think it's too much for being a new device from a company that long lost is brand name years ago, decades ago. So I don't know what they thinking, man.
Yeah, I'll say we can wait for judgment later, but right now it don't look good to me anyway. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's what everybody pretty much saying in the comment section. This is this is some bull crap. So anyway, let's move on to our last topic, and I think this is going to be good. So I've been looking at the gaming space. I've been looking at the games that are coming out, and I'm seeing less and less games of, I say less and less AAA games. And as new devices like the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro, and more graphics, more gigaflops, more RAM, more this, more that, to produce better visuals, to produce better, eye-appealing games. It's the cost of game development killing the quantity of AAA titles. Like, here we are, we looking at the Xbox One X, and they're already showing Tomb Raider again. A HD game, just more HDer. And I'm like, you know, and if it ain't that, it's your yearly Forza or Madden or, you know, your yearly title that basically just take the year before entry and, you know, redo it with a little bit better visuals. You know, the Call of Duty, you know, your annual stuff that really ain't showcasing anything, in my opinion. You really want to know what a system do. It takes exclusives that's literally designed for that device. And when you see what's going on, companies can literally go out of business if a game doesn't do well in the marketplace because of how much these games cost. So starting off at this point, we're going to get into some of the prices of some of the games that we looked up and looked at how much it costs to make the game. And some games cost over 200 something just to make it, not even market it, just to make it. So do you feel like AAA titles are being endangered by the cost of development? Do you feel like we're seeing less and less AAA titles because of how much it's costing to make these titles?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was done. You good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like you just said, the main point is these companies can go out of business if these games do not sell. These prices are astronomical. Do you want me to read some of these off?
No, go ahead. Let's hit some of them.
All right. So number one at this list that I got here, it says Star Wars: The Old Republic, a 2011 game, cost $200 million to make. We don't know the total cost because EA never told us the marketing price. So it could be a whole lot, way more than 200 million.
Probably add another 50 to 100 for marketing. So you can say that title probably ended up costing them anywhere between 250 to 300 million dollars to make a market.
Well, that was number one. Here's number two, Destiny, 2014 title. It cost 140 million to make. And they spent 500 million just for the marketing.
So marketing was 500 million.
I'm sorry. The total price was 500 million.
Total price. Okay, that's what I thought it was. So the whole project to make and market it was $500 million.
$500 million for a video game.
Dude, that's getting up into like that's Lord of the Rings movie level of money, man. Like that's crazy. Like, and that's my thing. Like, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm thinking people don't really get how strenuous and how taxing and how stressful it is on these developers when you're trying to make these games for a demanding audience that is expecting you to basically create Grand Theft Auto 5 every time that you make a AAA game, and you spending hundreds of millions of dollars and turning about and it flopped and it don't even make back. That's why we keep seeing Tomb Raider re-released. Like we saw Tomb Raider on the 360 re-released on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now we see Tomb Raider again on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 now coming to the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro. Like, these games ain't making their money, the money that it needs to make it worth their while. They can't make a new game when the game that they just made haven't made back the budget of how much it costs to make it.
Hey, don't forget about Rayman Legends.
How much that cost?
I don't know, but I'm just saying that game has been on everything trying to make back some money from the
right.
Was it on the 3DS?
I won't. I know it was on. I know they moved it from the Wii U to the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Was that the Xbox? Yeah. That's how they did that. Then they re-released it again on the Switch. Now, I don't know if it's ever on the 3DS or not.
I know it's on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4. It may
be on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 too. So they are, and it probably is on the PC, and that's why we keep seeing these games, man, because they ain't making their money on these games, bro. If you spending 500 something million, you gotta make. If you spending 500 million in development and marketing, then is that who make that game? Is that who is that?
It's Bungie.
Bungie is probably looking for a $2 billion. They probably looking to make $2 billion and then probably once they get, once they take back what they spent, ending with 1.5 billion is probably what they looking for in sales. They looking for what Grand Theft Auto did. Grand Theft Auto cost, I got it right here. Grand Theft Auto cost $265 million to develop and market, but it made 1 billion back.
Yeah.
That's a good trade-off, but how many of these games actually doing that?
It's only the Grand Theft Autos of the world. I will say this about Destiny. Destiny did sell well. The Taken King came out and pretty much sold well. It's also, I think that was an expansion or a DLC for Destiny. They got some more games on this list. I'm trying to see if I see something that's just, oh my goodness. Here's a game you probably hadn't heard of, Too Human.
Oh yeah, that game, I know about that game. That game was crossed like 3 different platforms. It was supposed to come out on the GameCube, but it was supposed to come out on the N64. Then they moved it to the then they moved it to the GameCube, and it finally came out on the PlayStation or the Xbox.
It was 360.
360, and it flopped, and the dude, it flopped, and they didn't make none of their money back. Dude, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's crazy.
The demand for these games, man. Like, I look at games like, okay, like my PlayStation 4 goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We're looking at how with the Switch, the sales, the software sales, the hardware sales is off the scales, right? But then when you look at the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they have good games coming. They have consistent games coming, but we still waiting on God of War 4. We still waiting on that game. We still waiting on other games, and what about that Capcom game that they showed early in the PlayStation 4 life with the dragon, and we still ain't seen that game. I can't remember what that game was called, but I know K-Bum always talks about it. It was like a soldier down in this dungeon, and the dragon blew fire on it. It was made by Capcom, and it was showed when the PlayStation 4 was first shown, and we still haven't seen that game come to the marketplace yet. At least I don't think it has. And these games come out like Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, I look like all that work, and then a glitch or a problem with facial animation might cause a game that probably costs $200-300 to $300 million to make to not even sell well. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so risky because they putting so much money. Like, this is Hollywood movie level dollars, man, for video games. And some of this stuff is only 5 hours long, 6 hours long, literally cut scenes and walking around like Uncharted 4. There's one thing I couldn't stand about Uncharted 4. Most of the game was cut scenes and driving. It was a good game, but probably 40 to 50% of the game, I would say even 60% of the game was you looking at the scenery and looking at how good the game looked because nothing was going on between those spaces. And then when you get to the action, it was, far in between or very repetitive. But that game, I bet that game cost probably upwards of $200-300 million to make. And it's like, man, these kids, they can't take no chances with this stuff.
Need over here stealing stuff that I'm about to say. So yeah, Nintendo. Now you see why Nintendo does what they do. People continue to talk crap about them, but
deep down, that's what it's called. Deep down, they said it down there. I knew somebody remembered. Go ahead.
They continue to make a profit because they understand that we're a company. We want to stay afloat. We can give you a good product, and we don't have to push the envelope for high-end graphics. You can also look at Phil Spencer's comments on what he said about the Xbox games, and we laughed at him. we were like, oh man, we don't want that. But he was talking about games as a service because this stuff is just too expensive. They want to make one game and make money off that one game for at least 2 or 3 years. You know what I'm saying? This stuff is just way too expensive. And I don't know if anybody or if you know, if you know the breakdown, because I know if, like they do voice acting, you got to pay the actors. I'm not really sure how much it costs to sit there and program a game, but I'm always curious about how it breaks down and how they break it down. To how
I actually had an article that did break down it. I think they broke down what was Grand Theft Auto. They broke down how much it costs to pay the developers a year, how many millions that cost, then voice actors and all that. That's why that's why you're getting into movie level. That's why you get into movie level costs, because you're paying actors, you're paying folks to put on the garb to do, you know, the in-game animations and all that stuff. So literally acting out the scenes and all that, you have to pay for that stuff. You have to pay for people to edit that and translate that into the game and put the graphics and the character models and all that stuff on that. You got to pay them, and that's just development. And you already hit $200-300 million, and we ain't even talking about, because if you spent that much money to make the game, you're gonna have to spend at least 20% more to promote the game, unless Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo decides to come in and partner with you to promote the game and offset that a little bit. But so these projects are 300 million, and some of this stuff probably ain't even AAA. Some of these AA games are getting up into that space.
Yeah, it's a
like, man,
because the game may not be good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It was another list I pulled up. I don't know if anybody remember that game, Deadpool. I think it cost over $100 and some million to make, and it flopped. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you risk? I know I said that funny. Why would you risk so much for a game that, you know, that you can't trust? I mean, that's why they can put their money in the Call of Duty. They can put their money in a Battlefield. They can put their money in a Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront. These games have been proven, NBA 2Ks and stuff like that. These games have been proven, but these new IPs that people always, oh, Nintendo give us a new IP. Hey, we would, but that may cost you. You know what I'm saying? It may cost us. And they don't want to just go out there and just do any willy-nilly thing. Yes, they can do it, but will they get the return? And if they don't get the return, Nintendo goes away.
And people wonder why all, like, we cherish and have such fond memories of GameCube, Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, early Xbox One, Super NES. You know, I won't say N64 because they didn't have a lot of games, but that time is because these we had just a smorgasbord of games. And as, like I said, as technology advanced, we've seen a lot of these games we cherish go the way of the dodo, like sitting on the shelf somewhere, because ain't nobody gonna take a chance on and a risk on pumping money into a title and it don't do anything. You know, if I know Grand Theft Auto is going to sell, then I'm just going to keep making Grand Theft Autos. If I know Call of Duty is going to generate back every dime that I put into it, then I'm just going to keep giving you Call of Duty. That's why we got so many Assassin's Creed, and finally, until people stopped buying them. And then they had to take a break because the sales wasn't reflecting what they needed, so they had to stop. They stopped making it. You know, they have a choice. So it's sad, man. I mean, you can't. When I thought about it, when I was sitting there thinking of what triggered it was, I don't know who this company was, but they released some game recently, and they had to lay off like 30 employees because the game flopped. And I don't know if it was Square Enix or who it was, but they had to lay off 30-something people because of one game flopping in the marketplace. And the thought came to me is like, how much do these games cost to make? And I started looking it up, and the first one that came up was Grand Theft Auto 5, $265 million. And then the next one was Destiny, 500 million. I'm like, games are costing movie prices to make? Like, this is retarded, man. This is retarded, dude. That's crazy. And you gotta sell 20 and 30 million to make ends to come out even or to come out profitable. You gotta sell upwards of 15, 20 million copies. And not many games are gonna sell that. But if you're trying to compete, like especially on Microsoft and Sony's platforms, if you're trying to compete on that platform with the likes of a Grand Theft Auto, with the likes of Call of Duties, the Battlefields and the God of Wars and the Gears of Wars and the Halos and the Destinies, you gotta spend some money. And you gotta be like that one game that came out that was made by an indie developer. You either got to get backed by some, you know what I'm talking about, the whole
PUBG.
Is it PUBG?
That's probably PUBG.
I know it was about the girl was kind of psychotic or what was that
talking about I probably would have said it without messing myself up.
Oh, okay.
Dang, I got it.
It just came out a few months back, about a month back. And a lot of people had a lot of mixed emotions on it. I can't think of the name of it. But the girl was basically having she was mentally
Hellblade.
Yeah, Hellblade. Like that was an indie made game, but it had backing though. It had a lot of backing. So
I'm curious. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Finish the thought.
No, I'm curious on the quality control. And like when they're going through this process, so they look at the market and say, what does the market look like? Like, why do we need to put out another arena shooter? Don't get me wrong, arena shooters are fun, but why do we like? What's the guy named Cliffy B or whatever with his game? Like, look at the market. Yes, that's the type of game that's that's popular right now. But do we really need to add another one to the pot? People are already still playing Overwatch. What's the game? We were just, I think I was just thinking about it. PUBG. We just said it. PUBG. People are playing PUBG and all these other games. And then there's games that are free, like gigantic. Fire near somebody in the comment section. I think it's like Firebomb or something like that. But these games are free. And it's like, look at the market, see what's going on, and say, hey, maybe we don't need to make a game like that right now. Because how can we compete with all of this stuff that's going on? You know what I'm saying? And then once the game is actually far down in development, sit back and say, is this fun? Like, would you really play this? Paladins is another good one too. That wasn't the game I was thinking about. But yeah, just sit back and be like, would I play this game? Not just because I'm making it. You know, you get your personal feelings tied up in it because, oh, I'm making the game and I think it's great. No, be for real. Would you play this game? You know what I'm saying? So it's just stuff like that, man. I'm dirty bum. That's it. I'm just curious.
Yeah, and Deep Silver is the company, Nia, that I was referring to. I just couldn't think of the name at the moment. But yeah, they just laid off like 30-some employees because whatever game that they made didn't do good in the marketplace. And like you said, Keith, these developers do need to sit down and ask themselves, not only just because you're working on the game, is this game fun? Is this game what people are asking for? Is there another game already kind of doing this? So it's going and it's already successful. Do I need to find another lane and do that and try to find success there? Like I look at the game Witcher 3. What is that? Red? What's the company that makes that game? Red something.
CD Projekt Red.
CD Projekt Red will not have to make a Witcher for a while. Why? Because they put enough quality in Witcher 3 to where that game will sell probably years from now.
Well,
that game will continue.
The Witcher series is done. I'll just say that
it's done. But I'm just saying, if they wanted to make another game in the series, they wouldn't have to rush to make it because Witcher 3 is so good and so filled with content that anybody that plays it is not going to be no quick rinse and you done. You know, like Zelda, like Breath of the Wild. That's why when I put it back in, I realized there's so much I still got to do, and there's so much that's coming for this game that continues to allow me to keep experiencing this game, and those who haven't bought it have reason to buy it. Whereas if you missed certain games when it was fresh, you ain't going back to buy that game, even though it's a AAA game. If you didn't buy it in the window of its hotness, you ain't going back to buy it. You know, and so that's a $3-2 whatever $1 million game that they made, that if you didn't buy it in that time that it was highly pumped and promoted and everything, there's no incentive to go back and pick that game up when you missed the hype that everybody else was on when you bought it. Whereas The Witcher 3, every time I walk in the store, I'm tempted to buy that game because I hear so much praise about it. And right, and I hear K-Bum talk about it. I hear you talk about it. I hear other people talk about it. And this game was what, 2 years old now?
Yeah.
I don't hear that about Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't hear anybody screaming and falling over heels about Uncharted 4. Yes, it was a good game when it originally came out, but I don't hear nobody going ham over that game. So if you didn't buy it when it first came out, you most likely, well, if you buy a PlayStation 4, you would buy Uncharted 4, you would buy God of War and stuff like that. What I'm saying though, some of these games you just ain't gonna waste. You ain't going back to buy 1886 or the 1886. You ain't going back to buy that game. And I'm pretty sure yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only time I hear anything about the order is when people are making fun of it.
Right, and you ain't going back to buy like I see you down here with the MD20, you know, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero. Ain't nobody going back to buy that game, and I'm pretty sure Kojima's wasted a whole lot of money on that title. And that game, nobody ain't talking about that game, and I guarantee you didn't make back the money that they spent on it.
Yeah, that was like a $20 game, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it was supposed to play into the one that came. That yeah, I think it was. I think it was. But again, how much money did they spend developing that?
Yeah, because it was still basically AAA quality,
right?
You know what I'm saying? As far as
so, and ain't nobody going back. Ain't nobody going back to play it, and I bet you they lost, and that's probably why Kojima got into all that trouble with them, because they wasted a lot of their money. I think that's what the argument was. Kojima wasted money, billions of dollars on these Metal Gear Solid high-priced movies that didn't generate the funds back. You know, everybody was feeling sorry for Kojima, but shoot, that studio probably was giving Kojima big budgets and probably wasn't seeing none of their money back.
It's such a risk, though, man. It really is. It's like you working so hard on the game and you just don't know if it's gonna sell. You know,
dude, it ain't is okay. Let me say this: it is a risk if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses of the most graphical, intense game and the itch of the loudest pocket of gamers. You know, and allowing PC gamers to kind of drive the narrative of what a game has to be. Yes, it's hard because in order to satisfy that group, you're going to have to spend money on stuff that you really ain't going to really notice in the speed of the natural flow of the game. You ain't going to notice how beautiful them bushes are. If somebody's shooting at your head, you're going to miss all that. You know what I'm saying? So, but you spent 10, 15, 20 million just on making sure the rubber on the sole of the man's shoe looks real. But ain't nobody gonna really pay much attention to that. Like, okay, prime example, Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Doom is a highly graphical, intense game, right?
Yeah.
I guarantee it's still gonna sell like crazy on the Switch with the low 720p, 30 frames per second. It's still gonna be played and it's still gonna be enjoyed with all that stuff turned off. It's still gonna be enjoyed. And it's like, is the graphic fidelity the main thing, or is the experience like? I'm with the 60 frames per second. I'm with all that. But do we need to be able to see every hair of the dog? You know what I'm saying? Does the enamel need to look like real enamel to really experience to enjoy? Like, now I don't have no problem with that. But again, you got to spend the money to make that game look like that through the course of that game. You got to make the, you know, and I'm with beautiful games, but how far is too far when it comes to how much it costs to make those games? When you start to get out, what'd you say?
Now all of this is making me think about Quantum Break.
Right? Yeah, brother. Yeah, Quantum Break. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, finish the thought. You right on.
Remember when we first saw this game? I think it was when they first announced the Xbox One, and they were showing the bridge and all this stuff collapsing, and the main character was somebody completely different. But they don't brought in this known actor, and then they brought in these known actors, and they brought in Littlefinger, you know, from Game of Thrones. They brought in all these people. Not only that, they also put like a 20-minute TV episode thing in between each thing. It's like, but the game, in my opinion, I thought the game was cool, but I think some of that money could have been spent on making the game better. And that's huh?
No, finish your thought.
No, I'm just saying that's another issue. Is like, where are the priorities? You know what I'm saying? You can continue to try to make this blockbuster thriller, but if the game not fun, it don't matter. So,
but yeah, but like you said, when the developers are trying to make games based on trying to please a audience that doesn't really know what they want but act like they do, you're constantly shooting at a moving target. So when you make the game and you do everything that the gamer wanted when they was talking about the time the game come out, the gamers are moved to something else that intrigued them in the game that you made. They don't want no more.
Right.
You know, so like, okay, and I'm just using this as an example. Mario Odyssey with Cappy. I don't think none of us asked for this. Nintendo didn't ask us, what do you want in the Mario game? Only thing they probably took is we wanted a true 3D world type, a 3D Mario game. That's what we wanted in a line of like 64, Mario 64 or Mario Sunshine or Galaxy. We didn't want 3D world. We didn't want that anymore. Outside of that, I don't think Nintendo listened to anything that the gamers asked for. Nintendo went into their creativity, made their game that they wanted to make, showed it to us, and we like it. Because we know why? Because we didn't know what to expect. We didn't ask for it. They made it, and it looks good. The same with Zelda. We didn't ask them to give us the Zelda that they gave us. They thought they made the Zelda that they wanted to make and gave it to us. Whereas a lot of these third parties and a lot of these AAA titles that's coming out by these other companies, they're always trying to satisfy a moving target that they can't satisfy because it's always moving. If you try to make a game like Overwatch, because that's the talk of gaming right now, and then somebody else try to come out and make a game in a similar line of Overwatch, and then you get something like what Cliffy B game is, and then Lawbreakers. It ain't Overwatch, but it's in that family. But you ain't Overwatch, and they might be getting satisfied there and might be moved on. And there you go. You lost. You wasted money. Instead of just making a good game that you wanted to make, you making something it's like a person making music, trying to make a hit based on what he's listening to, instead of just making that's making good music that's coming out of the heart. That's better than trying to make a hit. Just make good music and you'll probably find a hit amongst those songs instead of trying to make a hit. You know,
you said something when you said when we were asking for a new Mario game, they heard you want a new open world 3D Mario game. All right, let's go do it. And they didn't hear anything else, because here's the thing. A lot of these games are predictable. Your Uncharted, The Last of Us, Gears of War. These games are predictable because they're so based on realism or realistic gameplay mechanics and stuff like that, that they can only go one way. And if they go a different way, you won't even accept it. You'll be like, nah, this is not the game I like. But with Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, and some other Nintendo IPs, and there's probably some other Sony IPs too. I'm not gonna just say
God,
it on Nintendo.
God of War, I think Gears of War fall into them spots. I feel like,
but
because Gears of War don't follow anything real, So,
but what I mean by that is they have a certain gameplay that they have to stick to.
I got you.
With Nintendo games, they don't have to stick to a story because Mario is always different. There's no set storyline for Mario. Nintendo fans continue to want a set storyline for Zelda, but realistically, there really isn't one. Donkey Kong, who knows what you're gonna get? And I think that's the exciting in Pikmin and all these other games. That's the exciting part of it, is because you never know what you're gonna get. When we saw Mario, like you said, Cappy, what is this? You know what I'm saying? But you're like, hey, look at that. I can jump on it and I can, you all this different stuff. But with these other games, it's like I already kind of know what I want to get. It's just kind of like, what is it gonna look like? You know what I mean? I already know what Uncharted is gonna be like, but can I see more hair? I know what Uncharted plays like. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Don.
But I think that's the problem with these other games and why they can't last as long. Uncharted probably won't make it to PlayStation 5 because they run its course. They drug it in the ground. So much criticism is thrown at Nintendo for using their IPs over and over and over again, but it's just the IP. The games are different. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know I'm going way off on a tangent.
Fine.
But not Grand Theft Auto. Well, we can say Grand Theft Auto. You know what I'm saying? But there's still stuff you can do with Grand Theft Auto beyond what they are doing. But stuff like Gears of War, it has to play like Gears of War. It has to be a cover shooter. You already know what you're gonna get: set pieces and cover shooting. That's it. You can't do anything else. It don't matter what the story is because the gameplay is so set in stone that there's nothing to be excited about.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And going back to what you said, like with Mario, Cappy changes the whole fundamental approach to the game. Like when I was watching it, I was like, am I going to like the ability to literally take over anything and become anything in the game? Like that literally breaks the norm of the open world 3D Mario games. Yeah. Yes, that is there, but Cappy breaks that norm. It breaks you from it being, like you said, a tried and true system only. It like Double Dash did that for Mario Kart. That's why I wish they'd bring Double Dash back.
I agree.
Double Dash changed the fundamental aspects of Mario Kart in a good way. I'm thinking about Zelda with going back to the open world and go anywhere that you want to go, and the weapons and all that changed up Zelda. What's the other game I'm thinking about that I want to bring up that literally breaks you from? It broke you from the form that that the game was in. I can't think of it right now. It was in my head when I was talking about Mario. But Cappy disrupts that, and because of that, you get what you want from a Mario game, but you get something that disrupts that norm, and it's a disruption that's not overbearing. Is disrupts just enough to that it does. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Like Galaxy, the ability to run around the planet.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and run up the side of the planet. Like it was Mario in open world Mario, but the physics changed and broke the norm of that. And like I said, it's so you're right. It is like with Gears of War, outside of giving you a different gun. It's Gears of War, you know what I'm saying? It don't really break up the normal functionality, the normal fundamentals of what the game is doing. I think this new God of War is. I think they broke that up. But yeah, but yeah, you're right. You're right, Keith. And I think but they can't, because I guarantee you what it costs to make Mario Odyssey, they could probably make 3 Mario Odysseys with the budget that it took to make a Destiny.
Right.
Maybe even 10 Mario Odysseys. I bet it cost them probably cost Nintendo maybe 50, 60 million to make Mario Odyssey. It probably cost them 100, 150 million to make Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think that game might have broke 100-something million. But still, that's a far cry from 500, 200, 300. That's crazy, man. You know, and for the game to not even resonate and appeal and push the genre or gaming forward, but I guarantee Odyssey will. You know, it goes to show that I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if gaming is going in the right direction with power, because power requires more from the developers, which require more money, that put the company in more stress, and then you have the people in suits trying to control too much because they put too much money out. So if it, you know, that's why you only getting the Call of Duties, you only getting the Maddens, you only getting the stuff that they know will sell. Yep. and Nintendo doing that too. But I believe that Nintendo is able to do a Splatoon, is able to do some of these other titles as well. Whereas, and Sony is too. Sony gambles too. You know, I give it to Sony, but Microsoft ain't gambling at all. You know, they ain't making no gambles.
But it's all about when you release those games. Nintendo was very wise to release ARMS when it did. ARMS, if it had came out later on in the year, it wouldn't have sold like that. But you got, what was it? I think it was Mario Kart before ARMS. So people are enjoying Mario Kart. Then ARMS comes out of nowhere and be like, hey, look at this game, man. If Nintendo can make this game, the same people who made Mario Kart made this. This is going to be great. And they knew that Splatoon 2 was coming out, and Splatoon did what, 5-6 million on the Wii U? So they already knew Splatoon 2 was going to be a hit. So it's kind of like you got to position those games in the right places when you're trying to put out those new IPs. You can't just drop it and be like, this is a new blockbuster game. And it sucks. I don't want to play it.
Yeah, you're right. Nintendo strategically put ARMS where it was because it can ride the wave of Mario Kart 8, and then right after it, right on it, Splatoon 2 came out. So it never carried anything. ARMS didn't carry the Switch. You didn't have to rely on ARMS for a month or two. They was like, we're gonna give you this Mario Kart, we're gonna let that be, and then we're gonna let you have that for a month and a half, then we're gonna give you this ARMS for 3 weeks, and then we're gonna follow it up with Splatoon 2, and then Splatoon 2 is gonna carry us to our next title after that, because we know ARMS ain't gonna do it. They tricked. I'm gonna be honest, since you brought up ARMS. I ain't saying ARMS is not a good game. I'm not gonna say that. But Nintendo should have sold that game for about $19-20.
You think so?
I'm saying it. Yeah, I think so. ARMS is cool. It's cool. And that's all I can say about it. It's cool, but it doesn't. When I look at the title, when I look at the package, I'm like, I don't want to play it. I'm done. I'm done with ARMS. I'm done, man. And I got into it. It looks cool. It's a beautiful game. But Nintendo knew what they was doing. They enticed us, baited us in. They knew that game had no replay value. It don't. It's a done game. It's a done game. I'm serious. It's a done game. I don't mean to hate or make anybody upset, but ARMS is a done game, man. It's done. I don't see an ARMS 2 coming anytime soon, unless they're gonna really add some content to it. But as it stands, I look at ARMS like, nah, not today.
Hey, look, I played the test punch, right? And I played like 2 or 3 matches, and I knew then, I was like, I'm not even gonna, nope. You're not gonna get me.
Man, they got me, man. And the only reason I bought it, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I knew I wasn't gonna play ARMS long, but I knew my daughter wanted it. So I bought it. Because I know if she want to play something different that ain't Mario Kart, I can take the Joy-Cons off and she can punch to her heart's content in ARMS. And but again, ARMS is just difficult enough to where it's a little bit too demanding for her. You know, it ain't as simple enough for her. So it don't work, even though that's why I bought it for her. It's too complicated for her gaming level, and it's not enough for me. And it just don't entice me enough. I'm gonna be honest with you. I almost traded it. I almost traded on. I was like, no.
If I bought it.
I was like, nah, I ain't gonna trade you. But I almost did, man. I was like, shoot, I'm gonna get this game.
It's shallow, man. It's
It's a
really
shallow game, man.
it's really shallow.
It's
And
shallow.
I think that's why I was like, I'm good.
And Nintendo, and also they took the voice chat, the voice acting out of the game. Like Chappie doesn't talk in the actual game.
Right.
That made me mad too. And I guarantee Nintendo spent nothing on this game, man. Honest with God. They didn't spend nothing on this game. And they probably made hands over fist off of it. And I guarantee the budget probably didn't even crack a couple of million. Doubt they spent much on this game to make it. Because it's not much there. It's stages, so you didn't have to put a whole bunch of design in the stage. And like you in an open world, it's set pieces. I don't know. Nintendo got us with that title. I'm be honest. It was marketed and it was pleasing to the eye, but it wasn't much under the hood. I don't hear nobody talking about Orange no more. Nobody.
You know what would be cool though? Because I think they got some great, like you said, they got some great stages. They got some fantastic looking characters, and I'm not just talking about whatever that girl name was.
The ponytail, the girl, the twisty, or something like that. But I ain't played it so long, can't even think of these people's names.
They got some great looking characters and things like that. What would be cool if they took these characters and put them in a different game? And I'm not gonna make a joke and say they should put them in a game called Legs, but I think they should take these characters and put them in a different game and just see how far, if they can develop like a lure to these characters. You know what I'm saying?
They definitely got some good character models, and
I just don't want to play that game.
See, to me, and this is what makes me feel like, and I know if K-Ball was here, he'd be screaming blasphemy. But I really feel like this. I feel like the characters in Arms will fit a space like Overwatch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe instead of making it like, maybe they should make the stages bigger and have, and I know they got 4-on-4 if I'm not mistaken, but make the stages bigger and have 8-on-8 combats and instead of you shooting his arms, you boxing and fighting like that, but you got teams, and I can see something like that being more appealing than just a fighting game of this magnitude. It's just not enough there to make it fun, man. After a while, it just ain't fun. You know,
they could just go ahead and make a wrestling game.
Or a wrestling game. There you go.
Just go ahead and
that'll definitely work for some characters.
I buy it.
It'll be better than boxing. Wrestling would have been definitely better than boxing.
Yeah.
Because I like over the top wrestling games that are not trying to be realistic, but like all WWE All Stars. I like that game. I actually love that game. But yeah, you're right. They should they can definitely do that with them characters. But anyway, I think we pretty much exhausted all our topics for tonight. You got any final thoughts?
We were going to bring Red Dead Redemption 2. It wasn't really much to talk about. The trailer looked great. Speaking of budgets, no, the trailer looked great. I hope it comes to PC. That way I can play it. I'm looking forward to it. I think I like the setting of the Grand. Now, see, here I go again. Red Dead Redemption over the Grand Theft Auto settings. I like those settings, so I think
okay. Yeah, I seen the trailer. I just haven't. I seen the I guess the link to watch the trailer on YouTube. I just never watched it. So I'll probably go up there once I get off here with you and go check it out, because I saw you and K-Bum talking about it earlier. So I definitely want to see it. And I plan on getting this game. I missed Red Dead Redemption the first time around, and it was a game I did want to play. And but at the time, I don't know why I didn't get it. I don't know what was going on that caused me not to get it. But I plan on at least investigating it to see if this is something I might be interested in. So, and that's how I am. Like, it's another game that's coming out. I can't think of it right now. I don't skip my head. But yeah, I'm most likely I'm looking into possibly getting this game, man. Real talk.
Yeah.
But anyway, All right, folks, this has been the Live and Level Gamers podcast. Hope that y'all enjoyed listening to us for the last 2 hours. Man, I'm looking forward. If D2K was here, man, I'm looking forward to this hour-long Dragon Ball Z. I'm so ready for that. But anyway, go ahead and do your final signing out, bro.
Oh man, this your boy Keith. Talking about video games all across the board. Hopefully we entertain you and you had a good time. If you can see me, my arm would be in the air right now. I'm just playing. But yeah, man, it was a good talk. 2-man crew tonight. So look forward to talking next time.
Okay. And yeah, man, we're gonna have to figure out an opportunity or time to get on here with Jedi Knight, man. It's been hard to get up with that brother. He be talking with us in the hangout, but Sunday's been hard for me. I won't even be able to do it this Sunday because I'm be heading out as soon as church is out. I'm be heading out of town. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we got to figure out some kind of way to get up with him, even if we got to move it to like a Saturday every now and again. But yeah, this has been the Live and Level Gamers podcast. I hope that y'all enjoyed it, and we will see y'all next week.
Right here is dedicated to
Deuces,
my family, my friends.
Peace does not come before salvation, and salvation does not come without truth.
I will only tell the truth. I will only tell the truth. Truth.
People wonder, is he woke or just a new slave? Oh, religion, he just covered it with new change. Trapping out the church, he ain't really fake. He divisive, he don't rep the king, he just want the fact. Ah man, now they acting like it's suddenly political. Told me shut my mouth and get my checks from evangelicals. Boy, my mama raised me on Angela and L.